This week on Rockstar Superhero. Mike Reno, the superpowered singer of Canada's Loverboy, came back to my show just in time for the one-year anniversary of his last appearance. He's my first twofer, as they say, and of course I had a blast. Mike and the boys will be on tour with Styx and REO Speedwagon this summer, doing the outdoor amphitheater tour and rocking the socks off the old fans, all while creating new ones. You know it's gonna be good. The new single, Release, found its way to YouTube and radio recently in celebration of this new tour, so make sure you check out the full track, which will be linked to the show today. Until we meet again, thanks to Mike Reno for making this fan a happy camper, and here's the Loverboy, the hard-hitting power pop machine on Rockstar Superhero. Mr. Reno, great to see you again, my friend.
Roberto, how are you?
Oh my, I am so good. You know, the last time we talked, it was strictly a phoner. And so it's great to actually see your smiling face. And I have to say this, you are my first two-time guest ever. So thank you. I'm very honored.
Glad to be back, Rob.
Yeah, it's a blessing. Look, before we get to the single, because we definitely have to talk about that and we have to talk about the tour, I'd like to go back and ask a few questions I didn't get to when we spoke last year. Would that be okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. So last time we talked a little bit about Penticton, if you remember. And, you know, I grew up in Tonasket, and the Okanagan Valley was probably the most formative place of my life. And it was the place I discovered Loverboy, you know, when the first album dropped. But what we didn't get to last time was what childhood was like and how your family and local culture influenced your path. You know, I mean, you obviously became a vocal force. You know, I know they don't use the term rock star anymore, but you were and are a rock star. So where does that all come from? How did that all start for you?
Well, you know, my brother was influential on keeping me in, well, at grade, I don't know, 4 or something, which just sounds a little young, but I think I was 11 years old, 13, maybe 11 or 12. Wow. I had a paper route. My brother said, let's make some money. He says, I'm making money. You should make some money. You can buy that set of drums you were thinking about getting. This is just before we moved to Penticton. We were in Victoria, British Columbia. Mm-hmm. And to us, that was a great big city, right? When you're a kid. And I had a morning paper route, delivered the call list to 67 people.
Nice.
Me and my dog in the morning. You know, you'd get the papers, you'd fold them, roll them, put them in your canvas bag, put them on your bike. Hopefully the bike didn't go forward. And you're 12 years old.
Yeah.
Delivering the papers, then going to school. After school, my brother said, we can buy papers for 7 cents each and sell them for like a dime. And a lot of people throw us a quarter and say, keep the change.
Wow.
Because you're a cute kid. You know, you're just standing there with a bunch of papers, reading out the headlines, Times paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we ended up, you know, my brother taught me about earning a living, and he was into playing guitar and singing. So I wanted to be the drummer. So I bought a set of drums, and at the time, when my parents said we were moving to Penticton, we just went, where's Penticton? You know,
right?
Because we're from Victoria. You got movie theaters. You got a bunch of different things to do. You got a dock. You got a bay of harbors. There's boats. There's ferries. It's like great. You go to Penticton, and we're the whole time in the car when we're driving there. We'd say, Dad, I sneezed back here. Did we pass it?
Yeah.
Pretty soon, I think my dad pulled over and said, you guys keep that up, I'm going to smack you. But when we got to Penticton, and this is a true story, I remember going to, I was in grade 5, halfway through grade 5. I had to join a new school, and I came to school with a Beatle jacket, a Beatle hat, and Beatle boots.
Wow.
And I got the snot kicked out of me for the first 3 weeks of being in that town. until people realized that my brother and I had practices in the basement at our house up the hill.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they're all looking in the windows and we're playing tunes. So now it's not so much let's beat that new kid up. It's more like, what are these guys doing down there?
Right.
Right off the bat, I was influenced by the Beatles, coming on Ed Sullivan, like a lot of people were.
Yeah.
And I've heard it even from Tom Petty saying he felt the same way, And I'm sure a lot of musicians, when they saw their superstar people on Ed Sullivan, it was a big beginning. So that was a big beginning for me. Penticton turned out to be the awesomest place ever. And I spent the rest of, until I got out of high school, I spent there. We'd go in the summer, we'd go skiing on the lake. In the winter, we'd go up to Apex or Big White or someplace nice like that.
Yeah.
Just having a real good normal childhood.
Yeah.
Mind you, I was playing in bands, so I had to take a little bit of school off everyone. I have to get off Friday morning. I have to leave to get up to Grand Forks so we could play the Teen Town dance or something. With my band. So I started out with a band called Morning Glory.
Wow.
Then I had a band called Synergy. When I left Synergy, I went to Calgary. And that was Alberta was a big music town back in the 70s. Yeah. They had bands playing in every bar, every pub. And, you could actually earn a pretty good living playing for 6-7 days a week. So, it's always been music for me. And it's always just taken a step forward. I go up a little higher, then I go up a little higher, and then I go up a little higher. And each time it was like nerve-wracking because when you make these steps,
right.
It's like, I can't do this. And then you do it. And you go, I can't do this. And then you do it. And that's kind of how it started. I basically, in Calgary, started writing songs. And they weren't very good songs at the beginning. And then all of a sudden I started to get it together. And then I started writing songs. It really started from my brother growing up. He taught me well.
Wow. That's so cool. I mean, I knew the story post Calgary, right? How you met the guys in the band and how you kind of wandered into the warehouse and said, who needs a singer? You know what I mean? Which is amazing in itself. I love your story so much because it's literally the rockstar journey, the desire as a child to, be something significant and then to happen upon the right people and to have the right sound at the right time to look this right. It's all the things. And you hit the lottery, my friend. So
there's a bit of luck involved here. I got to tell you, Rob, timing is important, or luck. Yeah. Working with people that are good at what they do. And it takes a while to find these people because a lot of times in a handful of people, there's only going to be one or two that are really good at what they do. The other bunch are just kind of passing through. Yeah. So it took a while to weed everything out and find the right people. And we're still with the same people today. So amazing. I guess I found them. Yeah. I'm so happy for you because you're truly one of the good guys in the business. And you make little old me feel really good about myself too. So look, let's get to one of the reasons you're here today. The raison d'etre, I guess, is how they say it in French, but I can't speak French. I saw the new video and I heard the new single release and I love it, man. I mean, it's classic Loverboy. It's got the melodies and the attitude we sort of know and expect from the band. Clearly, your voice is still rock solid. You still have all those abilities, man. And what I love, and this is not just fan service, but what I love is you didn't alter your sound to be like everyone else nowadays, right? A lot of bands like yourselves, classic bands who've been around a long time and very established, they try to, become sort of a new thing, right? They alter, they start doing recordings with highly compressed music and everything is loud and extreme. And you didn't do that. You guys sound true to Loverboy. And that means a lot to guys like me because I'm a fan and people who listen to the show are fans of your type of music. So, what fire lit in your belly to do this now, to create something new yet wholly Loverboy after all these years? Well, Rob, for one thing, the song was written for the fans. It was written about the concerts If you really listen to the lyrics, you'll see that we're relating to the people and the fact that they had to wait such a long time to get back in the concert venues. So it's almost a prelim to what we're about to do, because we haven't done a show in. By the time we do our first show, it'll be just over 2 years. So we're into the third year. I mean, it's getting to be too much. And people need a release. And that's really the title of the song, is Release. Yeah. And I need a release. It's like one of those things. And then you get the band. And when the band plays, it just sounds like the band. And we didn't really go out of our way to do anything other than play. We play it like we play it. And we're not really ones for trying to sound ultra new or ultra different. If you've created a sound just by playing, then you stick with that sound. And that's basically, I can't really take any credit for it, other than the fact that we just plug in and we play.
You sound like you.
This was a bit of a different recording though, Rob, because we had to record it separately in the internet. I don't know if you knew this.
I didn't.
Our drummer's in North Carolina, our bass player's in Winnipeg, a few of us are in Vancouver. So Paul and I got together, finished the song up at my place, and then I sang it.
Wow.
We then sent it to Doug, our keyboard player, to his studio. He's got a beautiful studio. He laid in some keyboards that I thought were fantastic. We sent it to, we had a bed track, just with kind of a drum track, but we really wanted our drummer to play on it. So we sent it to North Carolina. And he got a group of people that knew what they were doing, set up microphones and stuff, recorded, send it back. Went to Winnipeg, our bassist, Ken Spider-Seneve, boom, 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 plays the bass on it. It all goes back to Paul on the North Shore of Vancouver. He starts mixing it, makes it sound great. We change the mix a few times. We go back and forth on what we like, what we don't like. Finally, the mix is perfect. Then we master it. He does. And then he decides not only to put out, the song, he decides to put a little video together. And because we're all over the place and can't be there right now, we're using our vintage footage of us playing concerts live, and he made it look like, we're all there. And I thought, that's a job well done. And in times when you can't really be together, I think it was a pretty damn good job.
Yeah. I think so too. I didn't know Matt was in North Carolina. What took him down there? Family, or just the desire to live close to the beach?
We're going to school down there, and different schooling there into dance and stuff. And they went into these universities down there and colleges and dance situations where they had to be there. And so parents followed them up there, and then they ended up staying there. It's pretty nice in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Wow. Yeah. It's a beautiful place. Good for him. The video. Yeah. I love that it intercuts, sort of modern you, if you will, with the vintage stuff. But it harkens back to those days. It takes a guy like me back to when the world was still in front of me, right? When everything really, really mattered and there was hope to, achieve certain things. I think what I love so much about your material, I mean, I don't ever want to lump it into this sort of classic old school dinosaur, because it's not. It's very hip. It's always been cool. It's always been super well written. But for a guy like me, your first album hit me when I was 14, right? So I'm a few years younger than you, but it was the right sound at the right time to really impact me. So I mean, when those first notes come out, whether it's Turn Me Loose or The Kid or whatever, it's immensely impactful. It almost brings tears to my eyes, because I can smell where I was.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I'm with you. Yeah. When I hear sounds, I relate it to where I was, what I was doing. I feel it all. And wow, it's good that somebody else does that. Definitely.
I have to ask you about this because, I wanted to last time, we didn't get to it. What was it like being on American Bandstand? Because I imagine it was like, again, the Ed Sullivan thing. It was just this huge impact. It was the Tonight Show for bands,
When we got the call, I probably told you the story, but we were, Paul and I and Matthew had our girlfriends down in Puerto Vallarta on an all-inclusive trip where if you change anything, you kind of lose out.
Sure.
And this is back before cell phones and stuff. So we're lying on the beach, just hanging out, having a nice rest after doing the first album. And a guy comes down the beach calling out my name, Reno, Mike Reno. So he calls me. I go up I have to go up to the lobby of the hotel, and it's Bruce Allen on the phone, and he's saying to me, Reno, grab the guys, and I want you to head to the airport. I want you to get back to Los Angeles as soon as you can. First thing tomorrow morning. Because on Saturday you're on American Bandstand, and it's going to be huge. So just get going. And we said, we don't even have tickets. He goes, it's all worked out. Just get to the airport tomorrow. Blah blah blah. And I just went, oh my God. Rob, I honestly felt that's the first time I felt that. Well, it's the second time that I felt there's something big going on here.
Yeah.
First time was when I listened to the finished product of the album after we recorded it and mixed it. I got the super chills, like, oh my God, this is good. And then when we got invited to play on Dick Clark, I had that feeling like, oh, this is going to be big. This is going to be, because so many people watch that show. Yeah. So if they liked what they heard, they're going to go buy the record. And they did. Millions of records got sold. Yeah. And Dick Clark became a friend of ours. And, he invited us to play on the American Music Awards, to give awards away. I even gave an award away to Michael Jackson, for crying out loud.
Oh my God. I didn't know that. So wait a minute. So did you guys do New Year's Rockin' Eve as well?
Nope.
Okay.
This was American Music Awards was kind of like the Grammys with the other one.
Yep, I remember. Yep.
So we did that. We did a whole bunch of things. We did. Do you remember Solid Gold?
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I have to put my water down. Solid Gold, right? Yes, I remember both the Dionne Warwick version and the Marilyn McCoo, wasn't it?
Well, the one we did was Barry Gibb and
oh my gosh,
Marie Osmond.
Oh my gosh.
And
that had to be outrageous.
And they had the Solid Gold dancers, and they're just like dressed with hardly anything at all. And we're in this big like studio, sound stage.
Yeah.
And it was pretty crazy. And they film it and they go, let's do it again. And then they do it. Then you walk on, you walk off. But the fun part was, this is kind of a little bit risque, but we're sitting in the back and we're all kind of just talking to a bunch of guys. And somebody says, man, I'd really like to give it to that Marie Osmond. And she bangs on the wall and goes, hey guys, it's Marie. I hear you in here. She was in the next dressing room over. I mean, it was totally embarrassing at the time, but we're
rock stars. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Were you guys, I know we're talking about television shows, impactful things at the time, but you did Solid Gold, you did American Bandstand. Did you do David Letterman or Tonight Show or any of those things?
We did Saturday Night Live a couple times.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God, I didn't ask that. I cannot believe I didn't think to ask that question. So then, because this is where I was going to go with this, is you never get a chance to do live because it's right. You're always lip syncing, especially on American Bandstand. Everything is taped off. What was it like to have to pull it off live?
The vocals were live
on American Bandstand.
Yep.
Oh my God, you killed it, dude.
That's what they do. That's how they do it. They just run the music tracks and everybody plays along, but the vocals are live.
I didn't know that. Your vocals on, that first performance, that's stunning because you had to be terrified.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Anytime you see television cameras, you get terrified.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, okay. So that's amazing. So getting back to the album now, this new thing that you're doing. The last time you did an album was, I want to say, outside of the remakes, right? Or the updated versions, the remixes, was Just Getting Started back in 2007. Is that correct?
Was that 2007? It seems like it was not that long ago.
15 years ago, buddy.
Wow. Yeah, that was kind of a fun project. I really thought that album sounded good.
Yeah. I agree, but it's been a long time. So what do you think kept Loverboy, or maybe you or whomever, from writing a new album and, or even just putting out new singles? I know the pandemic had a big part the last couple of years, but,
We did put out a few singles, but here's the deal. Record companies kind of disappeared the way they used to work buying records kind of doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So you're really not selling anything. And then you put a lot of time and effort and spend a lot of money recording stuff. And then all of a sudden you never get anything back for it. So you tend to just say, well, let's just play live and have fun and tour around and meet our fans and just take it like that and not try to make too much out of it. Don't get uptight about it. You just say, let's just go play some music everybody loves. And that's really what we decided on. And I'm not saying we won't, but up until recently, it's just been a pleasure to be able to make people happy.
Yeah,
I honestly feel that way.
Well, you're doing a good job of it. You're certainly making me happy today. Last time I talked to you, the last thing you said is Rob, I got my bags by the front door and I'm ready to go. As soon as they open up, we're out of here. And obviously it's a year later. Those bags are probably still by the front door, but let's talk about the cool new tour, Live and Unzoomed. Because I love Styx. I love REO. They did a festival in 2006 over in the Gorge, and, those are incredible bands. And so, I mean, you guys are really going out as this sort of classic power triumvirate, right? All this melody and all these hits. How did this bill come about?
Well, you know what? It turned out that the guys in Styx and the guys in REO requested us to be on tour with them. They wanted to do it, have a total 80s package.
Wow.
And Live Nation's reported recently back to us that the tour's selling out amazingly, and they've done Styx and they've done REO together a few times, and it sold well. But he says now it's selling out completely really fast, and they think it's due to the fact that we're on the bill, which is a huge compliment. And you know what I mean? It really makes me feel good to hear that. And we're going to go out there, and they want us to play for a full hour. And if I remember from back when we went on tour with Benatar and Journey, when we walked out on stage at 7:00, the people were in their seats.
Yeah.
Promoters came back every night and said, we've never seen people in their seats that early. So I think people are actually looking forward to seeing us. I think they really wanted us out there. So they're making it really easy on us to tour with them. Yeah. And they're good friends of ours after playing together all these years. It's really going to be fun. Really fun.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Styx and REO have gone out, actually, I think 3 or 4 times in the last 15, 20 years together. So yeah, you're the secret sauce. You're coming in, you're adding that new element. It's like going out with Triumph or something, right? This band you haven't seen in a while, and you start remembering, you get flushed with joy because you're like, oh my God, they wrote all these killer songs, and I finally get to hear them, and I get to hear the whole freaking band, man. I get to see the original band. I mean, I know you lost your bass player years ago, but still, I mean, it's amazing,
Oh, it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be the tour of the summer for sure, and it's going to like 40, 45 shows. Saturday, we're only playing one Canadian show, but the one show in Toronto. Every show is outside too, Rob, which is kind of fun. And I think it's going to help with the whole COVID thing, not to be enclosed. Yeah. We're going to be out in the open. I think that's probably going to be the way to do it. And I'm hoping by June, everything's going to be just fine.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are playing the White River Amphitheater here, so I'm super stoked for that. I'll definitely be there. I'll be waving at you probably from the lawn seats, but I wanted to ask this question last time again. This is my sort of last question here. But we were talking about Styx and REO a second ago, and when I went and saw them in 2005, 2006, I can't remember, I was waiting in line for the porta potties. And I know this is a weird point, but I want to make this point. Is I'm waiting in line for the porta potties, and I'm desperate. And then all of a sudden, in the slight darkness, I see one of them off in the distance open up, and I go running up, and it's Neil Peart from Rush. And it was such a crazy brush with, obviously a revered rock, god. I didn't want to bother him, of course, because I know he's fiercely private, but I'm curious, what's a crazy bump into somebody you always wanted to meet story?
Oh, well, I got a good one. I'm in Los Angeles staying at the Sunset Marquis, and it's kind of a boutique hotel. It's not not very high. It's like 3 stories, bit like Melrose, Melrose Place kind of a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And at the front, they have like 2 little cocktail tables and high stools. If you're waiting for your ride, you can have a beer. It's not a big bar. It's just 2 tables and some high stools. So I'm waiting for my pickup, and we're going somewhere that night. And I'm sitting there by myself, and in walks Bruce Springsteen. Okay. So I did the Neil Peart thing where instead of going, oh my God, Bruce Springsteen, and going crazy on him, I just sat there and drank my beer and just kind of nodded at him like, how you doing? And then left it at that. And after a few minutes, he reaches over and he goes, aren't you Mike Reno from Loverboy?
Nice.
And then he holds his hands out. He goes, Bruce Springsteen. I go, yeah, I know. Nice to see you. I says, what you up to? He says, I'm just going out tonight. I'm waiting for my ride. And I said, me too. Now, wasn't that something?
That's amazing.
Because I was kind of shaking in my boots, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah. Neil didn't do that to me.
What did he? He just said, hey, thanks.
He actually did acknowledge me because I could tell he knew that he was going to step out of that, out of that porta potty, and somebody was going to be like, right, because they can't help it. For drummers, right? We've got Keith Moon, we've got John Bonham, we've got Ringo Starr, maybe Stuart Copeland. We've got a couple of revered drummers that people know what they look like. But for the most part, I know what Matt looks like because I'm a drummer, so I'm paying attention. But most guys sitting in the back of the stage, they don't get the accolades that somebody like you does. But yeah, I could just tell he was grateful I didn't, scream his name out and say, hey, everybody, look who's coming out of the toilet. But I have to do this, man. This is true. I walked into the bathroom and I went. I have Neil's insides inside of me now.
The air that he breathes.
So we'll end that way.
That's good. That's a good. We both got to hear a story.
Yeah. Well, Mike, really, obviously, I hope this summer is monstrously successful for you guys. You really do deserve all the kudos. You deserve all that praise because you haven't just stuck around, but you've been important and you're valuable to the music business and you're valuable to the fans. And I love the fact that you're going to make new fans this summer. So, God bless you guys. Be safe on your travels. And I hope the single and everything takes off and really brings you guys back to the forefront.
I appreciate it, Rob. It's been a blast. Nice talking to you again. Till we get a real